My name is Millie Brown. I'm 11 years old.
Yeah, no, I'm deaf in one ear, so, like, partially deaf, so...
My relationship with Finn is amazing.
Jane Ives, a girl with no past, no family, no name, and powers the world wasn't ready for. She escaped a secret laboratory, broke the rules of science, and changed television forever. But behind 11, behind the shaved head, the silence, and the scream that shattered monsters, there is a real girl. Her name is Millie Bobby Brown, and her journey, from a struggling child actor to one of Hollywood's most powerful young stars, is more shocking than fiction. Stay till the end, because the truth behind Eleven's life is something Netflix never told you. The birth of Jane Ives. Jane Ives was born inside pain. In Stranger Things lore, she is the daughter of Terry Ives, a woman unknowingly experimented on by the US government during secret programs at Hawkins National Laboratory. Before Jane could speak, before she could walk, she was taken. No childhood, no parents, no warmth. She wasn't allowed a name, only a number, 11. From early childhood, Jane was subjected to relentless experiments, sensory deprivation tanks, isolation rooms, psychological conditioning, and emotional manipulation. She was trained to obey, trained to focus, trained to suppress fear, and as her powers grew, so did her trauma. Jane didn't understand love. She didn't understand friendship. She didn't even understand language properly. So when she finally escaped the lab, bleeding, terrified, and alone, she entered a world she had never known. A world with kindness, loyalty, sacrifice, and that emotional contrast is what made 11 unforgettable. But here's the twist most people miss. Millie Bobby Brown didn't just act this pain, she understood it. Because her real life, in many ways, was also shaped by struggle, isolation, and pressure far beyond her age. Millie Bobby Brown, real-life origins. Millie Bobby Brown was born on February 19, 2004, in Marbella, Spain. Yes, Spain. Not Los Angeles, not New York, not anywhere near casting studios, agents, or red carpets. She entered the world thousands of miles away from Hollywood, in a quiet coastal city, far removed from the industry that would one day shape her life. Her parents, Kelly and Robert Brown, were British, raising their children in a modest, grounded household. Millie grew up alongside her siblings in an environment that was simple, ordinary, and deeply family-oriented. There was no fame waiting for her, no industry privilege, no powerful connections behind the scenes, no safety net if things went wrong. At that stage, Millie was just a child, curious, energetic, and unaware that her life was about to change in a way few people could imagine. But something happened early on that quietly shaped the rest of her journey. At just 4 years old, doctors discovered that Millie had partial hearing loss in one ear.
Yeah, no, I'm deaf in one ear, so, like, partially deaf, so...
It wasn't dramatic at first. It wasn't visible, but it was permanent. Doctors warned her parents gently, but honestly, this could get worse. And over time, it did. As Millie grew older, the hearing in that ear continued to deteriorate. By her teenage years, she had almost completely lost hearing on one side. For many children, especially those dreaming of performing, this would have been a devastating limitation. A reason to stop, a reason to step back. But for Millie, it did the opposite. Instead of listening harder, she began observing more deeply. She learned to read emotions in people's eyes, to watch facial expressions closely, to understand pauses, silence, and body language. She didn't just hear scenes, she felt them. Without realizing it, Millie was training herself in emotional awareness, empathy, and presence, skills that would later define her performances and set her apart from other young actors. This challenge didn't break her confidence. It sharpened it. As Millie's interest in performing became clear, her family made a decision that would change everything. They moved first to Bournemouth, England, and later made a far riskier leap. relocating to Orlando, Florida. Not for comfort, not for financial opportunity, not for stability. They moved for one fragile, uncertain dream: to give their daughter a chance to pursue a career in acting. There were no guarantees. Millie didn't have a famous last name. She didn't have a powerful agent making calls for her. She didn't have any promise that success would ever come. All she had was raw talent and parents who believed in her enough to risk everything. Kelly and Robert Brown invested their life savings into auditions, travel, classes, and constant driving from one casting room to another. They rearranged their entire lives around a dream that might never pay off. There were moments when money was tight, moments when rejection letters piled up, moments when quitting would have been logical, even responsible, but giving up was never seriously considered. Because for Millie and her family, this wasn't about fame. It was about belief, and failure simply was not an option. The struggle before Stranger Things, before 11, before Netflix, before the world knew her name. Millie Bobby Brown lived in a constant state of auditions and uncertainty. Her days didn't look like a normal childhood. Instead of school dances and weekends with friends, her life revolved around early morning casting calls, long drives across cities, waiting rooms filled with other hopeful children, and the sound of her name being mispronounced or not called at all. Each audition carried hope. Each rejection carried silence. Millie was talented, everyone could see that, but talent alone wasn't enough. Casting rooms were brutal. Producers would watch her perform and then quietly exchange looks. Sometimes they smiled, sometimes they nodded politely. Millie didn't fit the mold Hollywood was comfortable with. She didn't perform cute, she didn't exaggerate, she didn't rely on charm. She felt scenes deeply, sometimes too deeply for rooms that wanted something lighter, safer, easier to control. That difference, while powerful, often worked against her. Rejection became routine. Sometimes she wouldn't hear back at all. Other times, the answer would come weeks later, long after hope had already faded. Still, small opportunities appeared. Millie booked brief roles in established television shows: Once Upon a Time in Wonderland, NCIS, Modern Family, Grey's Anatomy. To the outside world, this looked like progress, but inside the industry, these roles offered no stability. They were short appearances, no long-term contracts, no guarantees, no protection. Each job ended almost as quickly as it began. Millie would step onto professional sets, surrounded by experienced actors and crews, deliver her performance with intensity far beyond her age, and then disappear again. Back to auditions, back to waiting rooms, back to uncertainty. The emotional toll began to grow. Millie watched other kids book roles that she didn't. She watched projects move forward without her. She learned early that rejection wasn't always about talent. It was about timing, luck, and perception. There were moments when doubt crept in, moments when the dream felt fragile, moments when the sacrifices felt heavy, especially for her parents, who had given up so much for her chance. But Millie didn't quit. She studied people. She studied silence. She studied how emotions lived in the body rather than in words. Every rejection quietly sharpened her instincts. She was becoming something rare, a child actor with discipline, emotional intelligence, and presence. Then came an audition that felt different, a project described as mysterious, secretive, unclear. The role didn't even have a full name, just a number. And for the first time, Millie wasn't being asked to fit into a mold. She was being asked to be herself. Stranger Things, the role that changed everything. In 2015, an unusual project began quietly circulating through Hollywood. It didn't come from a major franchise. It didn't promise fame, and it didn't even explain itself clearly. The creators were two relatively unknown brothers, Matt and Ross Duffer. They were searching for something specific, not a star, not a polished child actor. They wanted truth. The character they were casting was unlike anything television had seen before. A young girl, few words, heavy silence, deep emotional trauma. A character whose power came not from dialogue, but from presence. For months, casting directors struggled. Dozens of talented children came through the door. Some were expressive, some were technically skilled, but none felt right. Then Millie Bobby Brown walked into the audition room. She didn't enter nervously. She didn't overperform. She stood still. When the scene began, something shifted. Millie didn't act like a child pretending to be broken. She was broken in the way only great performers can safely access on command. Her silence wasn't empty. It was loaded. Every look felt intentional. Every pause felt heavy.
My name is Millie Brown. I'm 11 years old. You can't see it. I can see it. Then
The Duffers later admitted they were stunned. They weren't watching a child actor. They were watching a character already alive. And then came the moment that sealed it. Millie was told that if she got the role, she would need to shave her head. No wigs, no tricks. Her response wasn't hesitation. It was acceptance. No fear, no resistance, just commitment. In that moment, the Duffers knew they had found their 11. The role didn't change Millie, it revealed her. When Stranger Things premiered in July 2016, the impact was immediate. The show exploded across Netflix almost overnight. But what shocked audiences most wasn't the monsters or the 1980s nostalgia. It was 11, a girl who barely spoke, yet dominated every scene. Her expressions became iconic. Her scream became legendary. Her silence became unforgettable. Millie Bobby Brown didn't just play 11. She anchored the entire emotional core of the show. Critics took notice immediately. So did award bodies. At just 12 years old, Millie became the youngest person ever nominated for an Emmy for Outstanding Supporting Actress in a Drama Series. It wasn't a gimmick. It wasn't hype. It was recognition. Overnight, Millie went from audition rooms to global fame, from unknown to unavoidable. Her face was everywhere. Magazine covers, talk shows, award stages. But the transformation wasn't just external. 11 demanded everything from her, emotionally, physically, mentally. Millie carried trauma-heavy storylines far beyond what most child actors ever face. Scenes of fear, scenes of abandonment, scenes of sacrifice, and she delivered them with precision and restraint. That restraint, the ability to hold emotion rather than release it, is what made 11 unforgettable. Because 11 wasn't loud, she was controlled. And in that control, Millie proved something rare. She wasn't just a child actor with talent, she was a performer with depth, a presence strong enough to hold silence and make millions of people feel it. Stranger Things didn't just change Millie Bobby Brown's career, it changed the way Hollywood looked at young actors, and it turned Jane Ives, a girl with no name, into one of the most iconic characters in television history. Fame at a dangerous age. Fame didn't arrive gently. It didn't build slowly over years. It crashed into Millie Bobby Brown's life all at once. One day, she was a working child actor, still attending auditions and hoping for stability. The next, she was one of the most recognizable faces on the planet. Red carpets replaced waiting rooms. Private jets replaced long car rides. Talk shows replaced auditions. Millions of people suddenly knew her name. But Millie was still a child. She was still learning who she was, while the world decided who she should be. The attention was relentless. Every outfit she wore was analyzed. Every expression she made was interpreted. Every word she spoke was turned into a headline. And the internet, with no filter and no mercy, moved faster than she could process. Social media platforms flooded with commentary. Some praised her talent, some admired her confidence. Others crossed lines that should never be crossed with a minor. Millie became the subject of adult conversations long before she was emotionally ready for them. Headlines blurred the line between admiration and exploitation. Images were dissected. Opinions were weaponized. And the most dangerous part? None of it came with protection. There was no manual for growing up famous, no pause button, no escape. While other kids worried about school or friendships, Millie was navigating media training, public scrutiny, online harassment, unrealistic expectations, and she was doing it in front of millions. The pressure was invisible, but constant. Millie later admitted that the attention deeply affected her mental health. She spoke openly about feeling overwhelmed, misunderstood, and exposed. At one point, the online environment became so toxic that she made a difficult decision. She deleted her Twitter account entirely, not as a publicity move, not for attention, but for survival. The silence that once made 11 powerful was now something Millie needed for herself. Hollywood continued celebrating her success. Award nominations, magazine covers, luxury fashion campaigns. From the outside, it looked like a dream. But behind closed doors, Millie was learning a painful truth early. Fame does not come with safety. The industry applauded her talent. The audience consumed her image. But the responsibility of emotional survival fell entirely on her shoulders. Despite everything, Millie kept working. She kept showing up. She kept performing. She kept pushing forward. Not because it was easy, but because she had already learned how to survive pressure. She had been trained for silence, for observation, for endurance. And in many ways, the same qualities that made 11 believable were the qualities Millie used to survive fame. Fame didn't break her, but it forced her to grow up faster than she ever should have had to. And in doing so, it revealed a strength that wasn't loud, but unshakable. Love life, rumors, and Stranger Things. Gossip. With fame comes curiosity. And with curiosity comes speculation. As Stranger Things grew into a global phenomenon, so did public interest in every part of Millie Bobby Brown's life, especially the parts she never offered willingly. Fans didn't just want to know who 11 was. They wanted to know who Millie was off-screen. And the internet began searching for answers where none were given. Every interview was dissected. Every smile was analyzed. Every behind-the-scenes moment became a headline. The question that kept returning was always the same. Was there something more happening behind the scenes of Stranger Things? Rumors quickly began to circulate about Millie's relationships with her co-stars, particularly those closest to her in age and screen time. Two names appeared again and again: Finn Wolfhard, Noah Schnapp. Fans pointed to interviews, shared jokes, comfortable body language. In an era where friendships are often mistaken for romance, speculation moved faster than truth. But the reality was far less dramatic. Millie addressed these rumors multiple times, calmly, clearly, and without hesitation. There was no confirmed romantic relationship with any of her Stranger Things co-stars. What people were seeing wasn't romance. It was shared experience. A group of children thrown into extraordinary fame together, growing up on the same sets, facing the same pressure, leaning on each other for stability. Their bond was real, but it was rooted in friendship, not scandal. As Millie grew older, public interest didn't fade, it intensified. When she began dating Jacob Sartorius, a young musician, the relationship became public almost instantly. Social media followed every move. Support mixed with criticism, approval mixed with judgment. But the relationship ended quietly, without drama, a rare thing in an industry that thrives on spectacle. For Millie, it was another lesson in how little control celebrities have over their own narratives. Years later, her personal life took a more private turn. Millie found love with Jake Bon Jovi, the son of legendary musician John Bon Jovi. This time, things were different. There were no overshared moments, no public stunts, no viral controversy. Their relationship unfolded largely out of the spotlight, intentionally. In 2024, Millie Bobby Brown and Jake Bongiovi were married. Not in scandal, not in chaos, but in quiet commitment. For someone who had spent much of her life under constant observation, this choice was deliberate. It was control. It was a boundary. And it marked a shift from being watched to choosing what the world was allowed to see. Throughout it all, Millie remained cautious about how much of her private life she shared. She understood something many celebrities learn too late. The more mystery you protect, the more peace you preserve. In an industry built on speculation, Millie chose restraint. And in doing so, she rewrote the narrative, not as a tabloid story, but as a young woman learning how to own her life on her own terms. The adopted baby rumor. Public figures like Millie Bobby Brown often grapple with rumors that spread faster than facts, and the claim that she adopted a baby girl with husband Jake Bongiovi in August 2025 is no exception. Though, in this case, it's rooted in reality rather than pure fiction. The story broke via her Instagram post featuring a willow tree image, confirmed by credible outlets like BBC, People, and Vogue, detailing their joyful welcome of their daughter that summer while requesting privacy on specifics like her name. What began as emotional speculation, amplified by social media and her known advocacy for animals, charity, and vulnerable communities, quickly gained traction through out-of-context photos and exaggerated narratives. Yet official announcements dispelled any rumor label, highlighting instead the unfair intrusion into such a personal milestone. Millie's measured response, silence amid scrutiny, upheld her boundaries, turning a potential tabloid frenzy into a testament to her compassion, control over her narrative, and commitment to family amid fame's relentless spotlight. Building an empire beyond acting. Millie didn't stop at acting, she built a brand. She launched Florence by Mills, a beauty line focused on clean, age-appropriate skincare. She became a UNICEF Goodwill Ambassador, one of the youngest self-made millionaires. A producer, Enola Holmes. She wasn't waiting for permission. She was building power, leaving 11 behind. As Stranger Things nears its end, one question remains. Can Millie escape 11's shadow? With films, producing, fashion, and activism. She already has. Jane Ives gave her a voice. Millie Bobby Brown used it to change her future. Jane Ives taught us that strength doesn't scream. Sometimes it whispers. And behind 11's silence was a girl who survived fame, pressure, rumors, and expectations. Millie Bobby Brown didn't just play a hero, she became one. And this was the untold story of Jane Ives. If this story moved you, smash the like button. It really helps the channel grow. Subscribe for more deep dive documentaries like this one. And let me ask you this. Do you think Millie Bobby Brown will ever escape 11's shadow? Or will that role define her forever? Let me know in the comments. Thanks for watching. See you in the next video.